Hello everyone, or shall I say Sat Sri Akal, Namaste, Adab, good evening, or perhaps for those of you watching elsewhere around the globe, good morning, which is what brings me to the name of my show, Indian Standard Time, a brand new property from the stables of the Tribune, in which I will attempt to explain on a daily basis every evening the most interesting story of the day. Sometimes it will be about domestic politics, about art, culture, and also what happens when India's interests are affected by major players across the world, whether it's in the US, the UK, Russia, China. It's here on Indian Standard Time that I will attempt to try and explain the story of the day. And there's nothing more important today than what's happening in the Lok Sabha, in Parliament, where the Modi government is bringing about a bill on the Waqf, on the properties of the Waqf, on managing the properties of the Waqf. That will replace the act that was last passed by the Congress government in 2013. Now, the BJP and its allies in the NDA have the numbers, so the bill will be passed, and over the next few days we will discuss, and you will read in the pages of the Tribune and watch and hear the pros and cons about this bill. But today in Parliament there was a very active debate between the BJP members in the House as well as those in the opposition. The debate was begun by Kiran Rijiju from Arunachal Pradesh. He's also the Minority Affairs Minister in the Modi government. And it was, and later on in the evening, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, had some very vigorous interventions on the subject. Through the day, you had, of course, from the India bloc, which is the opposition bloc led by the Congress party, there was K.C. Venugopal, who's a general secretary in the party, as well as a member of parliament from Kerala, and from other members of the India bloc, there was Arvind Sawant of the Shiv Sena UBT, and there was Akhilesh Yadav of the Samajwadi Party. Now, as you can imagine, the government has the numbers. Even as we speak, the debate is continuing, but the BJP and its allies have 293 members in the House. The opposition Congress-led India bloc has 238 members in the House. So there is no question the government has the numbers and the bill will be passed, whether this evening or perhaps it might be delayed for tomorrow. Now, the question is, why is this Waqf bill, why is it generating the kind of sound and fury that we have not heard about a lot of other issues in Parliament? The government has the numbers, so it will win. But why is it that the Congress party and other members in the India bloc made it their business to speak long and hard and try to bring to the attention of the country the problem that they perceive is with this BJP bill on the Waqf? Now, first of all, let's look at what the government has to say. Now, according to Kiran Rijiju, the centre is not going to usurp the power of the state in the management of the Waqf. What it's trying to do is to reform the Waqf board. There has been a lot of criticism about private properties that are now used by the Waqf as their own properties, and there's a lot of dispute in that regard. In fact, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, said that between 1913 to 2013, over a period of 100 years, there were 18 lakh properties as part of the Waqf. But from 2013 to 2025, or from 2015 to 2025, Mr. Shah said that another 21 lakh properties were added to the Waqf, clearly implying that there was some sort of behind-the-scenes problems or behind-the-scenes people trying to abuse the Waqf Act. And this is what he said that the government was trying to reform and clean up. Again and again, the government side, the government speakers said that there was no intention or it was nobody's intention on the part of the government to diminish or minimize or to take control of the Waqf. That was rebutted by the Congress-led opposition. And let me give you a flavor of what some of the people said. The brunt of the argument that the Congress put out was that this new Waqf Bill, or this new act when it's passed, will defame, divide and disenfranchise the Muslim minority community in India. That there is a lot of fear in the wake of some of the rioting in Uttar Pradesh, particularly around the Sambal Mosque, and in the wake of the agitation over the Babri Masjid, where it went on for 25 years. Finally, there was a temple that came into being a year ago in Ayodhya, in the wake of a lot of unhappiness in the Muslim minority community, a very large minority, over 200 million Muslims who comprise about 14% of the population in India, that there was a lot of concern, fears that the government was trying to, through the back door, trying to take control over Muslim institutions, whether it was mosques, dargahs, eidgahs. Now, the government has been trying to allay that concern, which is what speaker after speaker on the government side, whether Anurag Thakur, Kiran Rijiju, and Amit Shah, the Home Minister, of course, tried to do, which is that this is not what they're trying to do. And they agreed that there would be some of the reform, for example, is a good idea. There are women members that are going to be part of the new Waqf board. There will be perhaps a non-Muslim CEO, which the opposition believes is another way, for example, of bringing in government control through the back door. The K.C. Venugopal, as well as Arvind Sawant of the Shiv Sena UBT faction, pointed out that a lot of the Hindu religious institutions, for example, the Vaishno Devi Trust, this was mentioned by Arvind Sawant. Then K.C. Venugopal, who hails from Kerala, said that the Devaswam board in Kerala, which manages all the temples in Kerala, does not have any non-Hindu members on its board. And he asked in Parliament, he said, if the Vaishno Devi Trust in Jammu and Kashmir, in Jammu really, or the Devaswam board in Kerala, if they don't have any non-Hindu members, because this is a Hindu shrine, a Hindu religious shrine, very sacred to the Hindus, then why is it that the Waqf Bill enjoins Waqf properties to be regulated or managed also by non-Hindus? Now, that is an argument that the government has not answered. But essentially what it's trying to say is that in the 21st century, that there has been a lot of problems with the management of these properties, and that there is a clear difference between managing these properties and interfering in the business of the Muslim community. A lot of the Muslim organizations have also come down heavily on the government for trying to, for passing this bill and for attempting to take control. For example, the Jamaat-e-Ulema-e-Hind has come down heavily on the government. Then Asaduddin Owaisi, who is the leader of the AIMIM, he's also a member of parliament. He was very critical also of the government. Now, of course, there are many differences between the act that was passed earlier, which was in 1995, and the bill that will be passed today. The primary difference is that in the previous act, there was a survey commissioner who surveyed the Awqaf, which is what the Waqf properties are called. The plural of Waqf is Awqaf. Now, this survey commissioner across the country was empowered to manage the properties of the Waqf. In the new bill, you have a district collector who will have a lot of power to manage these properties. Now, the TDP, which is an ally of the BJP in the government, has persuaded, and that's one of the amendments, one of the three amendments that is being brought about in this bill. The TDP has persuaded the BJP that instead of a district collector, you will have a government official higher than a district collector who will supervise and manage these Waqf properties. Another difference is that, and this is what the government has said, is that the opposition criticism that a lot of this land should be managed or should be left to the Muslims, and that this is not like railways land or defense land, and that the big difference between the two is that railways and defense land is owned by the government, while the Waqf properties are owned by the Muslim communities in general. Now, clearly, there is a huge difference in perception between what the government is saying and what the opposition is saying. Perhaps the fine print will be out soon, and then on the pages of the Tribune as well as on Indian Standard Time, we will discuss and debate this issue. Going forward, I would request you all to follow the YouTube channel of the Tribune, to click on the subscribe button, to follow this show of mine, Indian Standard Time, and to tell us what you think about the show and about all the other properties of the Tribune. Thank you so much for watching. This is Jyoti Malhotra for the Tribune.